In this video, I want to go through how a user could be understanding and extracting what policy authorization policy drift has happened within the system, and also to understand what effort has been done recently to mitigate any authorization policy inconsistencies as well, and what inconsistencies persist and what inconsistencies are no longer available or are not really relevant as of the current scenario. Now, one of the ways that we allow users to explore these authorization policy inconsistencies across the distributed system is through the formal verification. Now, for example, in this setup, I have created two parallel pipelines, which basically does formal verification for at 2 points of the system. Now, in my case, I am showing here the train ticket system um, at two commits. Now, this one is a little bit more recent than this one. There are kind of subsequent commits one after the other. So this being the older one, to be precise. Now, independently, this would generate the independent representation and then perform formal verification in order to recognize what are the parts where the authorization policy might need to be changed in order to um, make sure the policy is consistent with the rest of the system and the rules that applies downstream. Now, uh, in a very easy way, a user can use this policy drift card, which could be connected to both these two. Now, which basically means is that this would be looking at what are the changes that are suggested here, what are the changes that are suggested here, and therefore it will basically calculate a difference between these two different suggestions in order to recognize what sort of policy changes has happened across the two different versions. Now, obviously, the path at the top or the system at the top would be the base. So all the differences will be calculated against this current version, which is at the top, um, considering any changes that has occurred from this particular commit, which is now in the history. Now, if you try to run this, so the policy drift will wait until this path is also complete. Now I'll show you the differences in a minute. Okay, now for example, you can see that these are two different versions of the system, where in the latest version we have 45 microservices, whereas in the older version there is only 41 microservices altogether. But if you look here, there are actually you can see that in the in the more recent version, there has been one inconsistency that has been fixed, and there are 8 inconsistencies that has not been fixed, and there are one new vulnerability or one new inconsistency that has popped up since the last old version. Now, this is a very quick summary. Now, if you want to visualize this and really understand what these changes have been and what exactly these changes are, you could easily now pull up this verification visualization. Now, this is the same one that we used to just visualize the formal verification results. But now what you need to do is to link this policy drift into the verification visualization against the base. And now if you run this and go into the visualization, you would see that, okay, now these are the new policy recommendations in the new version of the system, which has or in another sense, this is the new policy inconsistency that has popped up in the new version of the system, whereas these are all the inconsistencies that has not been resolved in the current version, and this is exactly the one that has been fixed and no longer an inconsistency in the current version. Now you could do a 3D visualization as well, whereas there are now three colors to the nodes that has been changed or has not been changed. Now obviously the yellow ones are the ones where we still see inconsistencies downstream, and therefore the suggestion still remains the same from the previous version and the current version, whereas this is the one which has been updated. And if you look closely, there there is another endpoint where the inconsistency has not been addressed so far as well. Now this is the easiest way to find out what are the policy drifts, and also what effort has been put and what effort has not been put into policy consistency.